drives me professionally is this dream that I have to build an oasis for African creativity to flourish. So every day I get to wake up and work with really amazing people who really collaborate with me to make this dream come true. So it is that, being accountable to the vision, dreaming, and then seeing it through. That's what drives me professionally.
I'd say curiosity. That's the first thing. The other thing I would say is observing the impact of branding and brands on the way we speak, the way we behave, and how it becomes our language for what we do. And then the third thing is just, I can't believe how lucky I am leaning into the great fortune of being where I am. I fell in love with advertising at a very early age. And I was afforded the freedom to explore at home in Mafikeng. There weren't many people doing what I do. So I spent those teen years trying to read up as much as possible about this industry. By the time I got into it, my word, I was, I had read up so much. And now I've been here for a while and I'm still leaning into that magic. I'm just a young girl from Mafikeng who's living out a dream.
I think in the next few years, we're going to see a resurgence in creativity with the widespread adoption of AI. People think AI will reduce creativity, but instead, I believe it will release us from the most tedious parts of our work and will value, again, what makes us really human. So I always like to remind people of how the invention of the camera in 1816 led to a surge of creativity in painting. So painting became less about capturing realistic images and much more about conceptual ideas like Impressionism, Expressionism, Cubism, and then abstract art. So I'm really excited about what we're about to see.
In everything from just how we can use data in decision making and marketing has really become, really, really crucial piece of how we deliver work and more relevant solutions for clients and customers. All of the things that are happening in terms of the creator economy and just how creators are able to use their own authenticity and transparency to create really beautiful storytelling for brands, even leveraging new technologies, which, bring about a lot of interesting questions around brand trust and creators that they work with. Obviously, as an experienced judge, I'm really, really enthused to see what's happening in terms of personalization and just our ability to use and leverage different platforms to build truly omni-channel experiences for customers. And absolutely, I'm learning a lot, from my team, especially my media team, around new things like fake out of home that have to do with the use of CGI and generative AI to create, out of home experiences that don't really exist in real life.
So the key elements I look for when judging creative work is actually quite simple. And is this work inevitable? Could it have been done any other way? Because if you can sit there and look at a piece of work and go, wow, I'm jealous. I can't see of another way that could have done that, could have pushed the craft, could have stretched it into another category. That's when you know that the team has really put in the blood, sweat and tears to make that idea happen.
The work that really excites me is the work that can humanize data. So where you don't see the data showing from the consumer side, but as you dig deep into the campaign, there's so much data. So one such example is the Coca-Cola name campaign. The data that led to that campaign, but the delivery of it is actually quite human. You see your name on a can, but the construction of that campaign used a lot of data. So you see a lot of campaigns that use data, but the articulation or the translation of that data is in a very human form. So that's really the work that excites me. In campaigns as well, I also look for the element of surprise, the unexpected twist, the thing that will stand out, that you'll remember. So memorable work becomes work that I actually look for. So even long beyond judging, long beyond viewing the content or ad as the consumer, or even as an awards judge, it's the work that sticks and you can remember because it's got that element of surprise. It's got that element of unpredictability.
There's an innovation and a creativity, and then ultimately the execution. And the ideas, ideas are a dime a dozen, but what's the interesting mix in the standout work? How have you paired X thing with Y execution? And sometimes it's that unlikely mix of the innovation into the creativity that makes you as a judge really say, wow, this thing stood out. And it's something that can be explained simply, because when you're a judge on these awards, you realize something being presented simply was insanely complex to get it to a presentably simple moment.
In terms of startups, I'd probably give a shout out to Hiking 44, which is a beautiful startup that has helped people like myself to be able to hike with other women and never have to hike alone, and never have to try wake up their friends, for a hike. So a really beautiful way that uses, online platforms to get groups of women together to be able to get out there, explore the outdoors, and do what we really enjoy doing. For me, I call it sauntering in the land at sunrise.
I really like the innovations that solve real world problems. SnapScan and Yoko, really have solved real problems. They've opened the door to countless small entrepreneurs who are now not so small, purely because of them. They understood the need in the market and provided a solution that answered that. So, within both of these companies, they're also continuously innovating and providing tools that improve their service to their audience. And I dig that, tech that actually works.
I'm excited to see work that redefines what great advertising looks like today. The ability to blend big creative thinking with smart strategy, innovative use of technology, and real cultural relevance is not easy to achieve. This category is fascinating because it's a reflection of where the industry is headed. When an era where attention is fragmented, trust in brands is hard-won, and consumer expectations are very, very high. The best campaigns do find new ways to break through and connect while still being beautifully crafted. And for me, judging this category is an opportunity to celebrate the work that's redefining what's possible in marketing.
What really excites me about judging the experience category is that experience is, it's kind of ethereal. It's all around us. We often talk about the 5 senses: smell, touch, taste, hearing, and seeing. Collectively, they all compound to a 6th sense, which is experience. And that's a fundamental that lives in our daily lives. And I think it's why it's so important that we have an award show that is putting so much emphasis on experience. Can't wait to get into judging the awards. Looking forward to seeing them flood in. Thanks, guys.